Welcome. We're going to stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Welcome, everyone. I see Pastor Ernest is in the house. He's going to open us up in a prayer. While he's making his way up, Sonny, can you do a roll call for us?
Yes, I will do that, and hopefully the meeting started, but I can't seem to log in. But we'll
Oh,
start.
do you need a moment? That's fine.
I believe I do, because I can't log into her. This is what
Well, there you go,
happens.
Ernest. It's your
Yeah.
moment then.
Please pray with me. Mighty Father, awesome King, awesome ruler, awesome provider. First, we just say thank you, mighty King. Thank you for all of the provisions and protection and favor that you have blessed us with, Father God. And we ask you to forgive us of any sin, Father God, any trespasses, Father. And your word said, in all thy ways acknowledge you, and you will direct our path. Tonight, we ask for direction, Father God. Lead us, Father God. Guide this city, Father God. Take us to higher heights, deeper depths. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Ernest. All right, Sonny, whenever you get it.
Yes, I will do the roll call, starting with Mayor Strite,
Here.
Saban. Present. Bartison, absent. Mark Lopes.
Here.
Christina Bergbauer, absent. Okay. Jarek Logley.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Karas.
Here.
And Kostecki. Here. Quorum present.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We had a request to do,
So if you have, we're doing city council first tonight, a little unusual, so I tried to send an email to let everybody know. And I've got someone I want to introduce to you. Mike Bettenhausen's here for a quick announcement, and we can bring that up as the first item. Mike, if you want to come up to the
sure, come on up.
to the podium. Oop. There's an item later this evening on the agenda, but I think something that Mike has to say pertains to a lot of that, so.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you that Bettenhausen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is looking forward to being a part of this community in Lockport. We appreciate your patience in this project. What we started out in 2018, I never would have anticipated we'd go through 3 different CEOs with the company, emerge with Peugeot and a pandemic, and that. But at the end of the day, and that we're looking forward to doing a groundbreaking on August 23rd, hopefully the afternoon, and that we've been working with Ben, and we certainly appreciate all your patience. The plan is to pull the permits and get the project started this fall, barring some of the supply chain issues that are out there these days. We're targeting for the fall or winter of 2023. Okay. But again, as we know, that there's a lot of issues out there, and that. But we certainly appreciate your patience, Mr. Mayor and City Council members and staff, and that it's been an interesting ride, and that. But it's a project that I think that when we do get it all said and done, and that we'll all look back and realize it was well worth the time and wait. So.
Good. Well, thanks for coming out and letting us know personally. We appreciate it, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, man. Well, we'll be in touch, right? So, very good. Thanks again, Mike. Appreciate it. All right, my friends. So, first thing we'll do is consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion to have a consent agenda. Second. All right, Mark and Renee. Look at that new hair color. Man, I looked over them. Who's that? All right. Looks nice. It is. You guys are all. Can one of y'all, balance this out?
No, we're happy.
All right, so everybody, we all good with the consent agenda then?
Yes.
All right. All right, so tonight we've got, looking for approval for committee of the whole meeting minutes from July 20th, the regular city council meeting minutes from July 20th, our payroll period ending July 24th, our bills through July 22nd, the 6-month review of executive session meeting minutes. There's the final plat of subdivision and final development plan for Phase 3 of Silo Bend. Accepting and approving the quote from for the cathodic protection system at Bonnie Bray water treatment plant, And then we're looking to authorize and approve the task force order for Thomas Engineering to provide engineering at the Briggs Street sanitary pumping construction. So that's everything on there. Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
All right, Larry and Renee, and maybe do a roll call, please.
Yes. Saban.
Yes.
Artisans absent. Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer's absent. Galogly.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Karas.
Yes.
Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes. Who was the motion, who made the motion?
I had, was it Larry and Renee?
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good. Next up, we've got, we're going to do a public hearing for the annexation of Lamb's Wood, so I will open this up at the public hearing. All right, so as required by state law governing annexations, the city council needs to hold a public hearing to consider the annexation of approximately 74 acres of property known as Lamb's Woods, owned by the Forest Preserve of Will County. The property is located north of Bruce Road and west of Farrell Road in unincorporated Will County. So after a motion for the public hearing, city attorney will give us the lowdown on this. So I'm looking for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Mark and JR, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so tell us all about it, Sonny.
Yes. Mayor, members of the city council, the details of this annexation agreement was discussed at the last city council meeting. This is in regards to the Lamb's Wood, which is located north of Bruce Road, west of Farrell Road, which is in unincorporated Will County. There is no other municipalities that cover that boundary of Lamb's Wood. They have filed a petition for annexation, and the annexation agreement just allows them to come into the city of Lockport and dedicate some trails right away for the multi-use path south along Bruce Road. This is all in conjunction with the city's strategic plan in making the bike trails more connected throughout the city. There's really, the other agreement that the city has is that we will pay for some of the signs that will be along the trail, and that is the map of the trail right there. The publication of this notice for public hearing was done in compliance with the Illinois Municipal Code, not less than 15 days, not more than 30 days prior to this hearing. And if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to entertain them.
Anything from public? Anything from council? Okay. Then we'll do a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close.
Second.
Okay, Larry and Mark, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we need a motion to approve the resolution 22063 for the annexation. All right, Mark?
Second.
And, is that Karen over there? Okay, Mark, Karen. And may we do a roll call, please?
Yes. We have, oh my goodness, okay. Saban, sorry.
Yes.
Yes, I am Saban, Miss.
See, it's a lot harder than it looks.
Yes,
Sonny.
well, I'm multitasking. Saban. Bartison's absent, Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer's absent, Galogly,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Karas,
Yes.
Kostecki,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
All right, next we need a motion to approve ordinance 21015, which is annexing the Lamb Woods into the city. So,
So moved.
Mark
Second.
and JR, And-
Second, okay.
a roll call.
So, Saban,
Yes.
Bartison's absent, Lobes,
Yes.
Bergbauer, absent, Galogly,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Karas,
Yes.
and Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. And then next, we've got, looking for a motion for the Second Amendment to the Economic Incentive Agreement with FCA Realty LLC to extend the opening date to no later than June 31st. So this is AT1. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mark and Renee. All right, questions, thoughts, concerns, any
It's
reports?
Resolution 22075, and it's just basically a text amendment extending one more year to the incentive agreement for Lockport Square.
Okay, and this is, yep. Does everybody, any questions, thoughts? We all good? Okay, then roll call, please.
Saban,
Yes.
Bartison's absent, Lobes,
Yes.
Bergbauer, Absent. Glogly.
Yes.
Shriver?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
And Kostecki?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Anybody got anything for I mean, we could do it at the next meeting, but I do have a card from David Beans. Come on up, man. If you don't mind, David, if you could just give us your name and your address, that helps us.
Hi, everybody. I'm David Bennis. I just moved here last summer in July. This is we just had our 1-year anniversary in Lockport. We love it here. We just moved from Chicago. I was a police officer for 3 years. Left, started my own business in Mokina. I just wanted to bring this to the attention. There was Austin Tyler Construction Company that I guess did some work, I believe, in 2020. They did some water piping. And last summer, we had an issue. We thought it was just dead grass. It came back again this year, and it goes down our whole property line. I got pictures, whoever I have to give it to. Essentially, there was a water pipe that didn't have enough topsoil put on top of it. It's just gravel rock. I called up Brian Stone, who is the engineering technician of City of Lockport. He spoke to me immediately. That was on July 8th. He was saying that, oh, we had, some hot weather, the grass is just dead. Well, we started doing some digging, they sent someone out. It turns out it's just gravel underneath, there's not topsoil, so the grass isn't actually able to retain water, so it keeps dying. I tried contacting Austin Tyler, they have not responded since July 11th. The Brian Stone guy, I don't know who was responsible for the project, but obviously things weren't done correctly, and I mean, it's absolutely horrible out. It goes straight down our property, and it goes down our neighbors. And I went on the Lockport community group, and it turns out there's other people in our neighborhood who have the same issue, but they just couldn't figure out, they thought it was dead grass. If we could just get someone to contact me to try to get this, figured out and get it fixed. It looks horrible, and it's come back 2 years. I used to do landscaping. I know you guys are all busy, so I don't want to take up any more time, but if I could just speak with somebody maybe after the meeting, that would be much appreciated.
What we'll do is, why don't you, I'll give this back to you. Put your contact information. We'll give it to Brent, our city engineer, and
Okay.
we'll get some follow-up. Or would you rather take it, Ben, or you want me to give it to Brent?
Either way, we just need his name and number.
Okay, and I have more pictures, and if anybody needs anything, I have contact information.
It's Third and Washington.
I was just upset because Brian told me, he's like, oh, it's hot weather, and then you got to contact Austin Tyler. It's past the period for them to fix things, and I'm like, if you were overseeing it, this wasn't done right. So, I mean, you could even, if somebody were to come out, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I love the town, but, the construction, Austin Tyler, is not good. I don't know if anybody has looked them up, but there's a lot of issues with that company, so maybe for future projects, do not let them bid on anything, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, Austin Tyler, they do good work. Sometimes this happens. I know in my yard, all the sod died, but stuff happens. But if there's not topsoil under it, David, that's problematic. So we will definitely have,
Yeah, we'll look into that, but I live right by you. I'm at 2nd and Hamilton, and I have the same issue with my house, and I did not have any work done on mine. So I have that same line of dead grass on the front, on my parkway as well.
we have a water
So I don't know
pipe.
what the issue is, but, I mean, it's not totally related to Austin Tyler.
I'm just saying, because Austin Tyler did do the water pipe there, and exactly where that line is, I mean, there's a water pipe that
Right.
Brian sent someone out, and they said, we can't go any further because there's a pipe. That, to me, looks pretty ridiculous. If a water pipe's running there and there's dead grass, there's only one way you could really go with it. The rest of my grass looks great. If you go on my property, it looks awesome.
Yeah, no, we'll look into it.
So I appreciate it.
Yep, thanks for bringing it to our attention, Thank you, David. All right.
I know.
Oh, here she is.
I can't log in for some reason.
So you said you had similar problem with mobile phone?
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. I think we could adjourn.
That's interesting. I wonder.
I didn't get any.
Yeah. Okay. We'll let you get settled, Kathy. Don't kill yourself. In fact, in the meantime, we'll just do a motion to adjourn from our city council meeting. Renee, Larry, all in favor? Aye. All right, and I wrote it down, Renee and Larry, so don't worry. And then, now we're between meetings, so take your time. Your issue's fixed. All right, so if you could do a roll call for our committee of the whole meeting.
You got it. Saban. Bartleson is absent. Okay. Lobes.
Here.
Bergbauer is absent. Galogly.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Karas.
Here.
Kostecki. Here. We have a quorum.
All right. So, do liaisons report. Anybody got anything for liaisons they want to chat about? Karen, what do you got?
Just really quick, a couple of updates on development. The Gas and Wash that's proposed at 143rd and Gauger submitted their concept plan. And the Springs Apartments at Edelman and 159 submitted their final. So
All
we should
right.
be hearing more on that stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We have a shred event coming up to City Hall. It'll be on Saturday, September 10th, between 9 and noon. You can bring your shredded goods, and you can hand it to the volunteers and watch them shred it and give you back your bin. So it's open to the public, free of charge. Again, September 10th from 9 to noon here at City Hall.
All right, September 10th, because I missed the last one, because I didn't write it down. September 10th, what time, 9?
Okay. Between 9 and noon,
All right, 9.
as long as they still have capacity. I mean, if we get too much outpouring and they fill up, they'll leave, but
Okay.
it's a big truckload.
Yeah, it beats killing your
Early, come
shredder at
often.
home. Okay.
This is not a liaison report, but I just wanted to thank staff or whoever did it for keeping City Hall open on Monday night to, at least to the second floor, to have the Delwood Park diorama viewed. So I really appreciate the effort to get that done. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for making, or mentioning that, to have that open, J.R. It's good, because people really do. Lance said, people study it. And you do, because you're like, oh, now I understand what that's about, so it is kind of fun, and, Michael McMillan did a great job, so.
Mike Miller and his dad spent a lot of time on it. Mike's been working on it for years before he even got to where he is, so they were excited about the exposure too, and they're going to be bringing another plaque to put on it that explains a little bit about the process, so that'll be exciting. The other item I have under liaison, if we don't have anything else, Mayor, is Sonny, did you want to talk about Renee's disclosure letter?
Yes, under the TIFT Act, any of the members of the city council or corporate officer, elected officer, must disclose any interest in a property that's in the TIF downtown area. We were aware that Alderwoman Saban has a property that she owned way before she was even elected. So under the act, it does require that the disclosure be made public at the city council meeting, made part of the meeting minutes, and that Alderwoman refrain from any official involvement regarding the TIF redevelopment plan, voting on any matters in regards to the redevelopment plan or the area or the TIF reimbursement, or communicating with any members of the city council regarding any matters related to TIF. So the letter was submitted to the city clerk. That makes it official, but again, that has to be acknowledged by the members of the city council, and that's what we're doing
All right.
tonight.
Acknowledged.
Yep.
There you go. No formal action required, so.
Okay.
The next item, Mayor, if, with your wishes, is that we could move up CED 4 and CED 5 for the facade grant requests.
Sure. Yep, all good here. So why don't we do CED 4? Facade for 829 South State.
I'm going to pull up those slides real quick, so bear with me. Turn that on too. Ron Cornello, property representative on behalf of John Thompson for the building located at 829 South State Street, is requesting funds through the city's facade and site improvement grant program for the repair of the damaged stucco and repainting, which you can see on your screen. The H&A Commission approved the proposed work at 829 South State Street and issued a COA for the stucco repair and repainting on July 19th, 2022. The grant program allows for a 50% match up to $20,000 per facade and $10,000 for site improvements, with a maximum of $50,000 per property. The applicant is eligible for $5,836.50, which is half of the lowest bid that was available based on the quotes provided. To date, the City Council has approved $14,869.53 of the $160,000 that are budgeted for 2022. That's a percentage of 9.3. Including this amount, our total would be $20,706.03, which would raise it to 12.9%, and we are over 50% of the way through the year.
Okay. Oh, great. Any questions, concerns? Look, glad it's happening. Thanks, Ron. Look forward to it. I made an appointment for you for that sciatic nerve with Darren Deskin. So I made an appointment with Darren to get your back fixed. So either you can run and tear, or just kidding, man. All right. So if everybody's good, we'll do you want to put it on consent agenda?
I just had one quick thing. In terms of the stucco, I think at the H&A meeting, Mr. Cornello, the members suggested maybe if you'd be willing to do a little bit more exploratory work to the stucco and seeing what's behind that.
Talked about that this afternoon. The guys are going to come out and exploratory and see what's underneath the stucco. So if it looks okay and it looks good, we're going to go back to limestone.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
I would piggyback off of what Matt had said was, talking to Lance earlier, I would like to see more exploratory regarding that, because if it's because it's a high focal point corner, so if we can go and see what's there, and then you come back to us and go, okay, here's what's here's what we can do, or it's just not possible to do what needs to be done, then we can go to the stucco. But I do agree with Matt that we should do a little bit more exploratory, just based upon the historic nature of the building, but also like the high visibility of that corner.
Yeah, he doesn't know, the plaster guy doesn't know what's underneath there, and how long that is, that stucco, So the
Wasn't it all stuccoed once? I thought I saw a picture of it from,
it's been stucco for a number of decades.
I'm talking the top part too.
No, top part has always been stone.
That's it, okay, all right.
So what I would say from a process standpoint, the reason why we're doing this now is if we push this off a month, as we get closer to the end of the year, repatching stucco in December is not feasible, and painting it is even less feasible. And so we wanted to make sure that we at least had this approval in place so that if, as a part of the exploratory work that the repair person is going to advance to look at what's under it, if there isn't anything found that is worth saving or even possibly to be saved, then Ron can at least advance and get his stucco done before the end of the year. As you can all tell, one more winter with this appearance is not going to be favorable, given how much damage is occurring. Ron has had a number of the H&A members out to the building to look at it. He's actively working with all those members and myself to try and do everything that they asked at the H&A Commission. And so when those results come back from the exploratory thing, which we hope to do, I think in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be able to have a better sense for what we can or can't do based on what we find. So that's the reason for advancing this, because otherwise, if we don't, I'll either need all of you to come in for a special meeting to get it done, or we have to wait another month or 6 weeks because this is only committee of the whole. So this waits another 2 weeks, and if we push it off to another committee of the whole, then it's another 4 weeks after that.
All right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we put it on for an action item, so that way we can, get a report back, whether it's come back in time or not, we can figure it out, but.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else? Thank you, too, for bringing that up, that's good. Okay, all right, very good, thank you. Next is 1000 South State, CED 5.
1000 South State LLC, as represented by its owners. Yadris is in the audience tonight for the building located at 1000 South State Street, is requesting funds through the city's facade and site improvement grant program for the restoration of the building to its original state and exterior appearance from 1882. The H&A approved the proposed work and issued a COA for the masonry restoration, masonry replacement, window replacement, new rooftop deck, new brick stairwell, tower, new cornice, and storefront improvements on April 13, 2022. We allow a 50% match up to $20,000 for facade and $10,000 for site improvements. The applicant is eligible for $46,883.63 based on the lowest quotes provided to date. This is obviously the same as the last. Last portion of it has approved $20,706. Actually, this included the last amount, just so we had a running total for 12.9%, including the $46,883 for this project. Our funds expended would be 42.2%, $67,000 roughly. In addition to the proposed facade grant approval for the window replacement, we're recommending consideration by the council for an additional disbursement from the gaming funds to cover the elevator installation and the fire damage and demolition. Staff believes that this project represents a similar challenge and opportunity that the Volts building did when the city purchased it after the fire and stabilized and repaired the walls while removing the fire damage. Consistent with that approach, we are recommending that the council consider an additional disbursement from the TIF funds to assist the owner in removing the fire damage and reinforcing trusses and walls in the amount of $76,975. The TIP balance would be about $260,000 at the end of the year without this deduction. Staff is also recommending an additional 50/50 match to repair and renovate the elevator in the amount of $99,000 for a total additional request of $175,975. The additional funding will surpass the annual budget for the facade grant. However, city staff is recommending that the additional funds be sourced from the gaming revenue reserve amount, which currently totals $580,000. So, in summary, our recommendation is to approve the window facade grant request in the amount of $46,883.63, and then also a consideration of the other items for the elevator and the fire damage repair and restoration.
All right. thoughts?
Just to reiterate, when we purchased the Bowles building, I think it was about $350,000. We had worked with this petitioner in regards to these additional requests. We have, gaming funds are often used in the downtown for downtown improvements, so we thought it was an acceptable use, and a similar use that we have done in the past from the Bowles building when we did it. So the total allocation would be about $225,000, which is still less than what we did when we did with the Bowles building a few years back. And there's such centerpieces in our downtown. We can see how other economic impacts continue to happen because of these investments, where we can combine private investment with some of these public dollars. So, but open to any questions about them.
Well, it really is the last big albatross down there. I mean, to see it turned around would be amazing. And even just going through the effort to restore it back to the Opera House has been really exciting. I do have a question about the cornices on the window. So currently the mason put small bricks to go and make the arc. Is what we see here like a wood decorative covering that goes over that stone up against it?
I believe that it is a cast stone product. Now, it may be a cover that goes over the facade and wraps underneath that, but it's shown as a cast stone facade.
Okay, so it's not wood, it's stone that goes on it. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think it's a great project, no doubt about it. Are we expecting additional grant requests on this project in the future?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the owner petitioner, Giedris, do you want to come up at all and talk about your plans a little bit, or? Okay. I think it's exciting on some of the things that they're proposing there, but the fire damage and the elevator share and the grant funds, I don't know if there's anything else that would be attributable to this. The tuck pointing, they had already done in advance, so that wouldn't qualify, so.
Hi, my name is Giedris. We're happy whatever city will give us, but, you know, it's a big project. It's close to $2 million project, so, you know, every penny counts. We're trying as hard as we can, and that's it, so.
So do I understand you're digging out the
Yes.
basement a little bit too to make that functional?
We're trying to do the speakeasy restaurant in the bottom, and the first floor will be the restaurant, and then second and third will be ballroom place, and then roof terrace on the top.
Rooftop.
So it should be one of the nicest building in Lockport.
Yeah. I mean, actually, even you'll add 2 extra floors of functionality, even then past the original.
Yes.
You know, so that's really incredible. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's all good on my side. I mean, do you guys have any other thoughts or concerns? Okay. Are we good with consent on this one then?
This actually should be an action item since, you know, Alderwoman Saban can't vote on it, plus there's an additional resolution that we need to craft in line with the consensus from this city council.
All right.
This will be action.
Our lawyer has spoken. We'll put it on for action. Thank you. All right, and lastly, let's go back up to our concept plan, CED1. So next, we've got concept plan for proposed 27-unit residential townhome community, Flagstone Villas. This was a planning and zoning case 2022-008.
Thank you, Mayor. Chris Cazzo, on behalf of Yukon Development, who is with us tonight, has submitted a concept plan for Flagstone Villas, a 4.4-acre residential townhome community for the property generally located at the northeast corner of Victoria Crossing and Cedar Road, shown on your screen. The subject property was zoned C2 as a part of the Victoria Crossings development. That also included R1, R2, and C2 commercial. It is primarily a residential development located both east and west of Cedar Road. The area directly adjoining it, as you can see on your screen, are townhomes as well, so it's a very consistent use with what is out there. The site plan illustrates that the units are going to be oriented to face a main north-south private access drive off of Victoria Crossings. Forgive the orientation to the screen. North is to the right, just to orient yourself with the relation to the rectangle that was on the previous screen. The access drive has a cul-de-sac turnaround with guest parking, and additional guest parking will be provided along with the pedestrian walkway on both sides of the access drive. Here's some view of what the architecture, this is the 5-unit portion. So those would be on the west side of the drive and then the furthest north building. And then this is the 2-unit development that is on the east side of the drive going in there. Plan and Zoning Commission heard this item at their regularly scheduled meeting on June 14th. The applicant answered general questions. No objectors were present. The commission voted in favor and made recommendation to the City Council to approve the concept plan. By a vote of 7-0, the Plan and Zoning Commission approved the concept plan for 27-unit residential townhome community, subject to the conditions on the screen. I'm not going to go through and read each and every one of them, but in essence, it's a concept plan review and approval. It may need to amend the overall plan development. They will need to amend the annexation agreement. It'll need to be rezoned to R2. The engineering group has performed some initial reviews on this, and we're still going to work through those as we go through preliminary and/or final, and these approvals are valid for 1 year. Take any questions?
Yes. I just have 3 things. I'm okay with the development. I do have some things that I would like staff to work on. 2 things I know they can work on with the developer. One other item would be something you have to work with county. Because we have this new development here, we are putting more pedestrian traffic across Cedar on, is it Victoria Crossing Way? So there already is a lot of pedestrian traffic crossing there because of access to the pond that's there. It's used quite a bit for people. There's trails not only on the east side of Cedar, but we're now having trails with access points on the west side of Cedar. So I really feel that intersection where Cedar crosses Victoria Crossing Way, we need something to happen there. The second thing I have is with the 5-unit buildings, I would like to see some modifications to the back to where it does not look like a solid monolith. I think there does need to be some variation to the rear elevations of the 5-unit developments. And then finally, I know I saw in the engineering packet that the fire district has not yet gotten back to us about the turning radius on the cul-de-sac. So honestly, one thing is just county, because I believe Cedar is county. The other 2 are just things that I would like the developer to talk to staff about. Otherwise, I'm okay with the development. Thank you.
Lance, can you go back to the plan view again? Okay. All right.
Can I just clarify, are you saying the intersection of Victoria Crossing and Cedar Road pedestrian improvements or vehicular improvements?
Because we're adding another development there, sorry. My mic's not on. Because we're adding another development there, it already is a busy pedestrian access point. Since we're adding additional development there, I really think that the city and the county need to solve, with this new development probably going in over the next couple of years, that pedestrian crossing area between east and west of Victoria Crossing there along Cedar. The stoplight, if you go south, has no crossings. There's no sidewalk coverage. But this is the point. This makes the most sense to people when they want to go from east to west as a pedestrian or as someone on a bike or someone that's exercising or working out. And it is busy there in terms of pedestrians. So if we're getting to the point where we're extending the sidewalks out, we're going to have sidewalks going to that intersection on both sides. I think because we're inviting more people to use that intersection as pedestrians, that we really need to work with county to see how we can improve the pedestrian crossing there. But yeah, that was that specific item.
So I have 1 is the pedestrian crossings, the second is the rear facade articulations, and the third is the fire district response.
Yes. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Sure, I don't have any issue with any of those. Anybody else got some thoughts on this?
I was just gonna say, I agree on the pedestrian crossing thing, because I've been riding my bike down there and then running around the little pond, and I couldn't believe how many people are actually out there doing the same thing. So, and then you put another subdivision there, and it's gonna be coming from all angles. Even if it's something like when you go, some kind of flashing light, letting people know that there's pedestrians coming, but I think something could be done.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, and also the rate of speed on Cedar is high, so you've got kids, bikes, everyone crossing, and there's really, it's like a traffic concern too with the cars driving on Cedar.
Yeah, and I see you got that bike path goes along the pond to the south, so I see what you're saying. Yeah, I have no arguments from me, man. Anything else? All right, are we good with a consent on that, or do you need it as an action to deal with these comments?
We will certainly work through all these in final development plan.
Yeah.
There's nothing here
So
that
we're
I
okay
see
with
as
it.
being
Take
challenging.
us a while to work with the county on some kind of application too, so.
Okay, so we'll put it on as a consent with all those things getting worked through.
It'll go at the same pace as the Caton Farm Bruce Road, Oak Bridge.
Yeah, oh yeah, good heavens. All right, so that's consent on that. And then CED2, amendment to the planned development of Lockport Square at Farrell and rezoning of a Lot 6 to allow self-storage facility.
This is related to Resolution 22070 and Ordinance 22016. The applicant, Gus DeLay, on behalf of Jacob Development, has submitted an application for rezoning of Lot 6 from C2 Community Commercial to C3 Highway Commercial. On your screen, you see Lockport Square at Farrell outlined by the black thick line. The particular site is outlined in yellow on that graphic. He has submitted preliminary development plans for a self-storage center on that lot at Lockport Square at Farrell Road. The proposed self-storage facility is located on Lot 6 along Edelman Drive in Lockport Square, which is the development that is located between the Jewel Osco store and the Walmart. The property is currently zoned C2, as you can see on your screen. It is the pink that still has the green outline and the yellow outline of the specific site. The applicant desires to rezone the property, but only for Lot 6 from C2 to C3 Highway Commercial for the purpose of allowing the building height of 55 feet for the 4-story building. C2 only allows for a maximum of 45. Staff finds that the property abuts C3 to the east, north, and south, and have no issue with that request. On your screen, you see the site plan. You see the proposed 4-story building. Parking is to the north of the site. There is access off of Edelman Road and off of the kind of rear drive behind the main inline center. The applicant has confirmed that they will repair that area, that roadway behind the center as a part of this project. There is a driveway that comes off of that. Over on the left side of the screen, it's where it says 25, that will serve trucks, like moving trucks and things like that, that would move goods in and out of the facility. Any cars or vehicles that would come to the facility will be on that north area. It's 4-story, all enclosed. There is no outdoor storage, such as what we saw with Life Storage having the separated garage facility. This is all internal to the property. On your screen now, you can see some elevations of the drawing, or not elevations, but perspectives of the drawing, kind of showing the character, materiality, and other components that are a part of the project. There is a fair amount of glass. There is also a lot of brick, and then some accent colors. One of the comments that was noted at the Plan Zoning Commission meeting was just to work with the applicant on the color. We're going to do that as a part of our final development plan process. Make sure that we can meet the community's expectations as well as yours and the Plan Zoning Commission throughout that process. So that is something that we feel confident we can work through. And by a vote of 7-0, the Plan Zoning Commission recommended approval of the amendment to the plan development of Lockport Square at Farrell, the rezoning of Lot 6 from C2 Community Commercial to C3 Highway Commercial, and the preliminary plans to allow self-storage facility on Lot 6, subject to the following condition, that if the facility is not constructed, the applicants will rezone the parcel back to C2 to avoid any split zoning.
All right, questions, concerns, thoughts?
The one thing I have is, I know I saw this with the PZC, I've seen the PDFs of the plans. The yellow It's just something I don't believe will work in that corridor. So if we could have an alternative color of yellow, I did see some paint samples going around, but if we could have an alternative color than that yellow in that corridor, it'd be much appreciated. Otherwise, I'm perfectly fine with the development, and I think it's a good fit for that area.
Maybe like a sea foam.
Lockport red, maroon.
Yeah. No, we will absolutely work with the applicant throughout the final development plan process to get that squared away.
Okay. Sounds like we're all good then with those comments. So are we okay with the consent?
Yes.
All right. Please and thank you. And then next is CED3 special use permit for planned development for single-family residential at 151st, just west of I-355.
Pulte Home Group has submitted an application for a preliminary subdivision plat and preliminary development plan for a planned residential development to be called Oak Meadows. Pulte Home is seeking approval of the following: the preliminary subdivision plat, elevations, or for home elevations, preliminary plan unit development plan, preliminary landscape plan, and preliminary engineering plan. The development is a 69-lot, single-family development. The Prologis development is to the north. That was probably on the previous plan. You can see Prologis to the north, Creekside North is to the west, Olympic Lane is to the south, as well as the township's open space and the Homer Fire District station there directly to the south. There are obviously a number of things that were related to some modifications that were worked through with staff, between staff and the developer. And I know that there's been a lot of discussion about these modifications, and so I do want to go through them just so that we can make sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody understands and has clarity as to what city staff and the developer have tried to work through to present all of you with a project that we feel comfortable with and that meets all of our guidelines, meets all of our comprehensive plan and the strategic plan that we've developed as a community. The first one was a reduction of the lot area from 8,000 square feet to 6,840 as a minimum. As a reminder, when we did the zoning plan, we now review lot size based on average, because one of our goals through that zoning code rewrite was to provide flexibility to developers to be able to accommodate some smaller units, but also some larger units within the same community to be able to provide that diverse area. As an example of this, just this corner of the site plan includes lots that go all the way from the minimum of 6,840 all the way up to 13,428 square feet down in the corner. So what happens with a lot of these is when you have corners like this and you need to round that corner, you get lots that are pie-shaped. And that creates some very large lots on the back side of those properties, but more narrow lots on the front side of those properties. And so this is one of the reasons why we allow for that variance, because, or not variance, but allow for that average evaluation, because otherwise we end up with everything needing to be a bare minimum lot size, which throws everything out of skew as we go through the project. The lot width component of it is a reduction from 60 feet, which is what's in our zoning code for the R2 district, to 55 feet. The average lot width is 62.8 overall across the development. The smallest lot width is 55 feet, and just to show you where those are, those red dots show the ones that are 55 feet. It is about 22% of the total number of lots that are in the development. So it's a fifth of those have lot widths that are 55 feet. And again, if you notice, all of them are occurring on the curves, where the front end of the lot is narrower than the back end. Most of these back ends have widths that are beyond what our code requires. So it's a function of the geometry that this site, because it has no other connections really outside of the Creekside Estates North property, because Creekside Estates only has that one connection into this development on the far northwest corner. If I would have had my druthers back when Creekside Estates North, there would have been a south connection also, just to provide interconnectivity that we've advocated for in countless developments since that point. That would have helped to remedy a lot of these issues, but because we have a number of curves in the project, that creates situations where you have narrower lots towards the street and wider lots towards the back of those properties. The third one is the reduction of the open space requirement from 40% down to 33%. The way that we worked with this at a staff level was to try and find ways that we could enhance the development for the community that would be using it. Just as a simple open space, if you're just going to simply put open space, that can be ponds, it can be wetlands, it could be anything. We felt that it might be better for the community that's using it to actually have a usable park that would be dedicated to them as a part of their HOA maintenance, as opposed to having just extra pond area out in there, or just simply native grass along the creek. So we asked them to consider removing 7 of the lots, which are reflected by that green area on your plan, to put a park that would remain private, maintained by the HOA. It would not come under the burden of the Lockport Township Park District, as well as install a bike path and walking path that goes throughout the neighborhood along the north side, along the edge of the creek. It's consistent with a lot of our planning studies. Our bicycle plan on the west end, it connects into the bike path that already exists in Creekside Estates North as a part of their portion of the Lockport Township Parks, and then it continues all the way through. We worked with the location of that park so that it has wide accessibility from a large number of the neighbors that are in the community. We tried to centralize it as much as possible without sacrificing having homes that anchor those corners of those blocks. We felt it was a good way to manage this and provide a visible benefit to the community that's going to live here, and felt that it was worth the 6% reduction in that code condition. The right-of-way condition, this is really a function of where it connects into on Creekside Estates North, as well as numerous subdivisions across the city that have been developed in the last 25 years, all have 60-foot right-of-ways. So we agreed that connecting that into Creekside Estates North at 60 feet is an appropriate thing to do, and keeping it 60 feet throughout the development is appropriate. Similarly, the reduction of pavement width, we really don't have an issue. We have other examples of 26-foot. Silo Bend is 25 feet, edge of pavement to edge of pavement. We felt that this was a reasonable width to be able to allow parking on both sides during the day when we allow it, as well as through traffic through that area. If you have any questions on either of those, Brent or I would be happy to answer that. The last 2 items was the lot coverage and the impervious surface coverage. There are 2 plans on your screen. Both of them represent their largest footprint that they have available in the models that they have created. One of them, the one on the right, also includes the maximum number of options that would expand their footprint. So on the back side, you can see a sunroom, you can see a bay window on the left side of that north, or the upper wall that's on that, and these are both placed on their smallest lot, the 6840 in here. So what we have done, if we were just simply going to allow them to build a home on this property, they could get the vast majority of their models at under 30%, which is what our code requirement is. And there's been a lot of concern about if you go in and build, the homeowner, when they come to the building department and ask for a patio or a gazebo or a room addition, we would deny them. We understand that that's an issue, and that's why we recommended to the applicant that they increase that percentage number above that 30%. So if you look at that graphic, their lot coverage on the one on the left is 32.31% just with the footprint of the building. All their other models are under 30%. So without this variance, their model would come in at 28 or 29%, leaving only 1% for a homeowner after they've bought and occupied the house to put a room addition on it. And 30% is R1, it's any of these things. And so we wanted to make sure that we accommodated a homeowner who wanted to do that room addition. So we requested an increase from 30 to 40% for that lot coverage to account for that.
And just to clarify, that probably will affect this, there's not that many lots that are this tiny, right?
Correct. There are 15 lots across the 69 that are this small. So 80% of them roughly are larger than this minimal, the smallest one that they have. And this is also their ranch model. Because it has the biggest footprint, all ranches typically have a larger footprint than a two-story building. If you drive through Silo Bend today, you will see that the vast majority of the homes that they have built are their two-story model. I think there are 3 ranches that are currently in the development, maybe 4. And so 90% of the homes that have been sold are the two-story model, which have a smaller footprint than what this does, which frees up additional space above and beyond what is allowable here. Just as an example then, for the impervious surface, we looked at increasing that from 45% to 55% because that green area, the lighter green area, shows what the impervious allowable space is. And there was conversation at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting about, well, what if I want to do a patio, or what if I want to do a pool? Isn't the lot too small to do that? And as an example, what I show here is just to show you what a patio would look like. So you could have a 10 by 30 patio on one of those lots. You could have a 16 by 22 patio. And these shapes are specific because you could also do a 16 by 40 pool, which is probably the largest pool that I would have ever seen put in Lockport myself, or a 13 by 20 pool on their largest model on their smallest site. So there is a lot of flexibility with this, and I'm sure that anybody who lives in Silo Bend today and has seen a lot of the improvements that have gone in there, as well as in Sagebrook, because all of those have the same depth lot as what these do, know that they have been able to get in-ground pools, they've been able to get decks, they've been able to get patios on their properties without an issue. And so we wanted to try and accommodate and give flexibility to the future homeowner. They have allocated space in their detention to accommodate that 55% of impervious, because that's the other corollary that we always look at as it relates to that percentage. So we feel comfortable with these numbers. And again, we worked with them to ask for these increases. They wouldn't need them, honestly, if they were just coming through without a modification, because they are under the 30% for lot coverage with the majority of their models, and they're under the 40% for impervious surface with all of their models and the amenities that they provide. So it's to our benefit to have these modifications in there to allow for the resident to have that flexibility in the future. And then lastly, there was commentary, and there was an inadvertent mistake on the staff report that included the architectural component as a modification. Based on the code that we rewrote when we did the zoning code rewrite, we changed the way in which the exterior building materials code read. There are 2 parts to it. The first part is if somebody comes in and wants to put a box up, basically just take a rectangle, throw it up, put some windows in it, we require that at least 50% of the building have masonry. And we have different definitions of masonry in the code. Or the builder could come in and do something that represents a lot of the character that we have in downtown, a lot of the character that we have in our other developments that is reflective of styles that are consistent throughout the community, and then we free that up to allow them to use other materials. Most of our best architectural home examples around the community have no stone on them, have no masonry on them. In fact, the home that was used for the filming of Somebody Somewhere has no masonry on it, but it's a gorgeous home. And so I I've oftentimes used the term, you can create a very ugly all-brick building or home if you want, or you can create a very lovely all non-brick building. And so we wanted to create that flexibility for our developers and homeowners so that we retain the value for somebody that didn't want to put the design effort into the home. But we also wanted to give flexibility to those that could put the design effort into it, that they had a little bit more freedom with their materials. So these are examples of what Pulte has been able to do. These are all of the different styles that will be available to the homeowners. So all total, I think we have 18 different styles that would be available to the homeowners throughout the community. There are 4 different models. We started out originally with 2 models and 3 styles. We expanded that out to 4 models with 5 styles in 2 of them, 4 styles in the other one, as well as including a ranch model in there too. So, you know, in our constant effort to try and provide diversity within every developing community that we have, this was our effort to try and do that. So I just want to clarify that. It's not a modification that needs to be written into the code, but because it was mistakenly put into the staff report, I want to make sure that we were all clear on what that was about. So there's the site plan. I'm going to let Caitlin come up and just give a very brief introduction to Pulte. Here's our recommended motion. We'll go over that at the end, but I will let her come up and do it. If you tell me to click, I'll click.
Perfect. Good evening. I'm Caitlin Chuck from the law firm Rosenova and Whitaker on behalf of Pulte Homes. With me tonight, I have a couple of representatives from Pulte. We have Fabian and Dave, and we'll all be available for questions at the conclusion of this presentation. So really quickly, Pulte was founded in 1950 and has built almost 750,000 homes throughout the U.S. as the nation's third largest home builder. Next slide. This is just a quick list of Pulte's Chicagoland locations, which includes some nearby suburbs like Naperville, Plainfield, and Bolingbrook. We're currently selling in 18 different communities across the Chicagoland suburbs. And on the next slide. We've had thousands of interested customers, most recently in Lindenhurst, Algonquin, Addison, West Chicago, and Naperville communities, and we're hopefully looking forward to another successful community here in Lockport. So with that, I will turn it over to Dave, who will give you an overview. He's our Director of Construction, so he can talk more to our construction practices and the product.
Good evening. You know, the last bullet point is really near and dear to my heart because that has to deal with nothing but customer quality and customer experience. You know, I've been actually a Lockport resident for 16 years. I spent 4 years at the Cedar Ridge Towns and now 12 going on in my single family home in Cedar Ridge as well. You know, I moved into a Pulte home because I know how they perform. Just being open and transparent, in my single family home, I've only replaced my sump pump twice in 12 years. That's it. And we have a big focus on that. You know, how do we achieve the Net Promoter Score? We survey our customers throughout the entire process several times. When they walk in our sales door, the next day we survey them. When they have their personalization, their design center, we send a survey. Their pre-drywall, we send a survey. Their closing, and at their year mark, we send a survey. NPS is really derived from the score, which is a 9 or 10 is a promoter, 7 and 8 is kind of a detractor. So I mean, not a detractor, passive. So they're kind of like, And anything 6 and below is what we call a detractor, right? So our scores in 2020, we are the second worst in the nation at 3.6. We are currently at a 48, which is top 10 in the nation. That is a heavy focus on our quality and our customer experience. How do we do that? Really through our build quality experience. I'll certainly pass this around for you guys to take a look at. This is what we call the flip book. The flip book has, the beginning part is a lot of trifold with our touch points, which is our introduction, our pre-drywall, and our pre-closing. The back part of that has a lot to do with warranty tips for our customers. So a lot of troubleshooting stuff in there with pictures and diagrams and notes to give them as much tools to troubleshoot warranty stuff as it happens. Our warranty, I also have this with me as well, you can pass that around as well, is a 1, 2, 5, and 10. Our 1-year warranty is really what I would call a finish warranty. That encompasses anything in the house. It also encompasses our built-to-last inspection, which happens at 1 year by our customer care manager. We will have a customer care manager who is responsible for just this community. They will go into the customer's home at roughly about the 10 or 11 month mark, take a look at anything they happen to bring up. This is screw pops, drywall cracks. We will take care of all those right around that 10 or 11 month mark. So we know when that one-year survey hits, we make sure that customer is 110% satisfied. We also have a customer care coordinator who will take all on-demand service that comes into our company. So a customer can send anything in within 24 hours, and we'll have that customer care manager at their doorstep talking about the issue, getting their eyes on the situation. Our 2-year part of our warranty is against any kind of mechanical system, so plumbing, electrical, HVAC. You know, we guide them to any extended warranties if it's through water heaters or furnaces. A lot of that is in the flip book. The 5-year warranty is against any kind of leaks. So whether it's a basement crack, a window, a roof, that's 5 years of coverage, and then 10 years is the overall structural warranty of the house itself. Now the warranty is only as good as obviously what's behind the walls. We also build, these are what we call our PCS details, or our Pulte construction standards. We build not only obviously to state and local codes, we go above and beyond to what we call Pulte construction standards. This is anything to do with the house wrap, the way it's overlapped horizontal, vertical, any penetration of the house wrap, how it's flashed and taped, door flashings, you name it, inside drywall seams. My team is designed and trained to focus on these PCS details for every single home. What does that mean? Well, that drives quality, that drives experience to make sure when my customers are in their home for 1, 2, 3, 10, 15 years, it's built the way we want it to be built so they don't have to deal with the warranty headaches. That's really, again, something near and dear to my heart, is the quality focus that we've done. And as a division here in Illinois, you know, the progress we have made, and we'll do this exact same thing here with this project as well.
Thank you. So just summarizing, as far as the recommendation goes, a recommendation from the Plan and Zoning Commission was not made. A motion to recommend approval of the special use permit for planned development and a preliminary subdivision plat and development plan failed, and a motion to recommend denial was not made. So should the council find the proposed single-family development acceptable, the following motion is suggested. A motion to adopt staff's findings and approve ordinance 22017 for a special use permit for a planned development, inclusive of the following relief from the bulk requirements section: reduction of the lot area from 8,000 to 6,840, increase in the maximum lot coverage from 30 to 40%, increase in the maximum impervious surface coverage from 45 to 55%, reduction of lot width from 60 to 55, reduction of open space from 40 to 33%, reduction of the right-of-way width from 66 to 60, reduction of the pavement width from 28 to 26, and then second, a motion to approve the preliminary subdivision plat and plan with the following condition that it expires in 1 year. With that, we'll take any questions. Any of the Pulte representatives or myself or Brent will be happy to answer anything you have.
Yeah, first, I just want to say to city staff, Brent, anyone that worked on this, you've done so much with this development over the past many weeks, probably many months. You've gotten so much feedback from members of city council, members of PZC, other individuals, and, you know, let it be known that whenever you do bring something to us, we know that you've put a lot into it, and it's always appreciated because you wouldn't give us garbage. So you always bring high-quality items to the council. And I think I would speak for everyone up here that you and your staff and all the department heads really do a fine job when it comes to this. So I just wanted to put that out there. I've gone over this a lot, and you know, I've talked to you, I've talked to Ben about various things with this development. The one thing that I brought up early on, and I think, was it Dave? You could speak to this. We used to be neighbors, and I was your HOA pres for 12, 13 years. The one thing that is a concern to me, and I know that I was promised that this has been vastly improved since Cedar Ridge was built in 2005 to 2008, was there was considerable build quality issues with the exterior walls of the towns of Cedar Ridge. And there's two members up here that at one time lived in Cedar Ridge, and the HOA had to put forward over $880,000 to rectify the exterior wall issues. So I've heard back from Lance and Ben that, you know, Pulte has changed. Pulte's gone up market since the early 2000s. And, you know, we used to be neighbors. You probably knew about the wall issues. Now you live in Cedar Ridge, single family. I know people that live there. They love those homes. So if you could just speak to us on what's changed and what's improved with Pulte over the past 5, 10, 15 years, because that is something that is a concern, is perceived build quality. And when a 156-unit townhome development has to spend almost $1 million to rectify build quality issues with their exterior walls, could you just speak on how Pulte has changed over the past 10, 15, 20 years?
Yeah, sure. I've been with the company for 20 years, and we really did struggle with PCS details. And the focus on the customer. We did. I'm just being completely honest. That has since dramatically turned around. Our PCS, so we get audited twice a year. We get one internal and one by a building science company out of Pennsylvania called Impervious. Impervious came here about 2 months ago. We scored a 98%, which is, again, top probably 3 in the nation. Everybody on my team, both customer care and construction, is heavily focused on that, and that's really what makes a big difference. If this project goes through and you drive out there, you'll see pink spray paint on the homes, right? That's called our Pink Dot program. What that is my construction manager going out there and literally checking every single detail and spray painting what we call a pink dot on the wall, right? What that verifies is the execution of our PCS details is correct, and we explain that to the customer, right? One of my favorite, when I was in the field, one of my favorite meetings was that pre-drywall orientation. Because I can show them, hey, here's what's behind the wall, right? Here's what we do differently as a company to make sure you don't have to deal with those headaches. And certainly things happen, right? They're all built by human hands. But we have a very, very strong warranty that is, changed and improved, as well as just the execution of our details and the products that we put inside these homes. They really do make a difference. We're seeing that the increased scores as well. So I definitely think we're building a better quality product now than we did anywhere from even 5, 10 years ago, for sure.
One thing that I'd comment on too is I think the city of Lockport's processes and systems have increased tenfold in the last 10 years. Our building department, our engineering department, we're much more hands-on and more involved with the builders. I think Kazo would attest to that. So I think we're doing a better job too that would hopefully catch those types of things, whether wrong windows were put in or not. I think those kinds of things we would catch today that maybe we didn't catch back then. So,
Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Ben and Lance.
Any other comments from folks?
Can you walk us through, I guess, what the time frame would be and some of the pricing of what these homes will be listed at?
So the intent would be to start construction in the spring of '23, would be a 3-year build-out in one phase. And I believe Fabian's here too to help me with the price points, but I believe the starting point would be 400, and then once all the options are added, we would max around 500, right, for each home.
And it would just be one phase? It would not go in multiple phases?
Correct, one phase.
Okay.
What's the average per square footage?
Average per square footage?
So when you said they're starting at 400, so what do you?
That I do not know.
Average amount per square foot.
I'm sorry?
Average amount per square
Yeah,
foot.
so it's going to be around 2,400, so we'll start, as it's been mentioned, we have 4 different homes. Our Abbeville starts,
The average price per square footage.
Oh, the
So
average
if you're-
price
if
per
you're
square foot.
Throwing a number out there that they're starting at 400, is that, so what's,
so now I'm doing mental math on the spot here. So if it's around 500 and we're doing around 2,400 square feet, that is, let's see.
And I'm sorry, Fabian, just so I can follow along. Is the smallest house, did I hear, is it 2,400 square feet?
So that's the average. So
Average,
the
okay.
smallest, that Abbeville, our ranch, that starts around starting square footage 1,683. Then we go up to our Newberry, that starts at 2,300. The Mercer starts around 26, and then the Continental starts at
So
28.7.
1683 would be 400,000?
Correct, yes.
That's a ranch.
237.
And this is all pulled from the recent market data from recent communities that have been for sale in other communities in the Chicagoland area. So this is all kind of driven and pulled from that data.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. So, the world's upside down right now. It's tough, right? And we know that materials are tough and things, supply chain stuff is, a $400,000 home at 1,683 square feet. Is that reflecting some of these supply chain problems? Like if things were to loosen up, I always get very concerned about affordable housing, right? And so, it's a lot of money for a house, right? And, if the market bears it, the market bears it, but do you guys envision, supply chain changing price points at all? Or is it just like, no, man, these are 400,000 starting and that ain't changing?
No, all of those things get taken into consideration depending on the market at the time. The market changes every day, as we see. It was very much a seller's market most recently, and now it's kind of taken a little bit of a not a downturn or anything, but it's kind of chilled out a little bit,
Leveling
right?
out. So are you
Leveled
guys,
out.
so are you prepared, if like the market, slides back to prices that don't seem so high, they seem high to me, that, that's fine. If the market changes and these are $300,000 houses, we'll be able to move on, considering that material prices will, maybe that's what helps
And
drop the price.
I believe that's the intent, just to watch it in terms of budget and all of that stuff, to watch the market, labor prices, everything will be taken into consideration once everything is under construction.
What we have seen, at least through Silo Bend and a couple of the other ones, is as the market has kind of tapered down, they start to change prices on options. So the base price never really changes, but the way in which the options are handled do tend to modify with that market. So, that makes it even for those that bought early, and doesn't start to jeopardize their investment, but it also starts to give a little bit more to homeowners that they're trying to attract when the attractiveness isn't quite as strong as it has been. I will say that we have had a very hard time trying to keep Silo Bend homes from rushing into the office. I think that we have already approved somewhere in the neighborhood of like 55 or 60 of those homes in the first, they've been selling for like 5 months now. So 10 months a home. We're on track to blow through records on home builds this year that we haven't seen in over 10 plus years in the market. So I think it's a high price too. I mean, it's challenging, but they are selling like nobody's business.
And if we, I know oftentimes when we do developments, we've had conversations with school districts and stuff. Has there been any, what's the status with that, with the school districts that would be affected by this development?
District 92 would be the district that this falls in. Both Tim, the superintendent over there, Tim Arnold, as well as Bob at the high school have had a chance to weigh in on this, and both are okay. District 92 and the high school, as we've kind of laid out before with Bob's presentation, they see their demographics as really flatlining and going down over the next really 4 to 5, 6 years, and then starting to ramp back up a little bit. So nobody has an issue with capacity right now. They are not concerned about that one iota.
Okay.
This would be $237 a square foot. If you look at 1683 with 400,000, I mean, Lance, do we believe the market can support that in terms of a starter home? Because I would consider these ranches, I was thinking this development.
Downsizing even.
Yeah, downsizing, but this would be more like a Gen Z, early millennial type development.
Silo Bend's ranch homes are about 1750 square feet. So
That's about 225, 215 a square foot?
Yeah, somewhere in there. So
I think it's a great development for this location.
Yeah, me too.
And I believe in Pulte Homes. And if you can sell a 1,600 square foot vinyl ranch for 400, go for it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
The images that are on here, I wanted to make sure that we had their vinyl product on these slides too, because I know that that's been a comment that has come up. So all of these homes that are on your screen right now are vinyl product. And as we've talked before, our design guidelines, material standards require that at a minimum they are 0.044 grade. Builder's grade is like 0.038. The board and batten type material is typically at 0.050 or higher because it has longer runs that are flat, and so they need that rigidity to make that work. Vinyl is something that has gotten a bad rap for a long time because of what happened in the early 2000s. Everybody was building builder's grade stuff. They didn't install it correctly, and so you saw a lot of warping. You saw a lot of pieces falling off. It was really challenging. Today's vinyl is a completely different class of material, and we have even exceeded that class by our requirements. The homes in Naperville, in Lindenhurst, in all these other places are vinyl. The ones in Naperville are selling for $600,000.
I agree with that.
I would just add one more thing. When you're looking at the models, whether they're the ranches or the 2 stories, if you could consider doing windows within the garage doors, or look for a model that might have the option of 2 individual garage doors, just to break that up. I know with the one we had seen with the concept plan over by Victoria Crossing, they had done windows in the garages, and I know that's a nice way to break things up. So if we could consider that for some of the models, just to break things up along the roadway, that'd be great. Thank you.
I would have one more thing, and I don't know if this is so much has to do with the developer, but the 4-way stop sign at Gallagher and 151st is becoming more and more congested, particularly when Oak Prairie is getting in and out of school, and we see a lot more people getting off at 143rd, at 355, and then coming down to the north. And I'm quite certain that if you put this development in Google Maps or on your iPhone, it's going to take you down that way versus Archer, because it sort of goes out of the way. Would it be possible to do traffic studies for a light there? Because it's just an intersection. If we have 69 single-family homes coming in, that's concerning in terms of how they get to that subdivision.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could have Brent answer that a little bit. I'm not too versed with their current traffic study on their impacts from their development, but other developments impact that intersection. I live up that way. I know Larry does. The other good news is we're going to be improving and widening 151st, and that includes all the way to the intersection of Gallagher and 151st, but it's still a stop sign. But we also have, I think, another jurisdiction there too that we could talk to, but certainly we could look at an overall traffic study for the region more than just this as well, and see if it's warranted. I mean, I doubt a signal's warranted there, but I mean, we can look at it.
So you're looking at widening 151st from like Farrell?
Just from the bridge back to Farrell, yeah. By the fire department there.
Oh, I see, okay.
But it goes
I don't think it's wider all the way, Brent, is it? I don't remember.
No, the widening is just in front of this development, so it extends the existing width of 151st. So from Archer, as you work your way east, the road's 36, 40 feet wide. We're going to continue that all the way to the bridge. The bridge is already at that width, so we're basically connecting the dots. East of that, though, will remain exactly as is.
Is that unincorporated east of the bridge? Or is that Palmer Glen?
Well, we do have some parcels over there.
East of the bridge is
Kinda
all
iffy.
city of Lockport.
It's all us? Okay.
Yes.
It's all the way to the
North
stop
side's
sign.
annexed then.
The south side is not annexed, with the exception of the GG Temple. The GG Temple is the only property that is in the city on the south side of 151st Street.
So in future, if
Pockets
we
of
were to try to get the stop sign with turn lanes, that might be difficult.
The south leg and the east leg are under the jurisdiction of Homer Township. North leg and the west leg are the city of Lockport. So yes, it would be a multi-jurisdictional discussion. Oftentimes, if you walked in there and said, here's a check, they're going to say, oh yeah, go for it. But to offer up a 50-50, that would be difficult.
The proposed, what is it, the Veterans Trail that's going in right now, that ends currently at 151st Street. How does it go past on the east side at 355?
It stops at 159th. It doesn't.
I know, but there are proposals to go to 135th. Do you know the path?
I don't know.
up there?
I haven't seen any phase stuff like that, because they talked about going across with the ComEd easement there, I think, so I'm not sure. You know much about
This is from memory, but I think they go through the Pavement Creek Preserve
Yeah.
that they already have on the north side of 159th Street. But how they actually get over to 135th Street, that I'm not quite positive on. We could certainly provide a map if somebody was interested in seeing that, because I know that they do have it diagrammatically documented. We just don't have it offhand.
Can you go back to the aerial that shows the bike path and everything that you guys were proposing? So currently, at the bottom corner there, there's a little path. Does that go to our pump? Is that
Correct.
what that's for? Okay.
As a part of the project, they are going to build a new street to get to our well house and our elevated water tower. And to get it off of a curb cut on 151st Street, they're willing to dedicate the land to be able to get that drive in there.
That was a nice add-on.
And then the sidewalk that's to the west, you know, next to the Hunter's Way and all this stuff, there's a sidewalk. There's no sidewalk here, or is there? That goes along 151st Street here. Does that sidewalk that's coming out of the existing subdivision going to end and stop here, or is it extended all the way across?
That I believe we would like to see extended all the way across.
We plan to continue it all the way across our property frontage.
Okay. Is there wisdom in making it bike path width out of asphalt instead of the cement? I'm just thinking like,
Yeah, no, I
you know where I'm going with all this.
I mean, on the west end, in front of Creekside North and Creekside South, the bike path is on the south side of the street. It's sidewalk, concrete sidewalk on the north side of the street. Now, could you have a crossing at this location at their west entrance? You probably could, to extend the bike path to the west. We would probably need to work with some property ownership issues on the south side and the ditching that occurs on that south side because of the cross-section that we have here, but we could certainly look at that approach.
Because, I mean, to be able to have, these communities and stuff Cosmo built and these guys, to be able to access that trail, because it does seem like they keep moving forward and extending it north, and then it really allows them to have good connection all throughout the city. I'd hate to miss opportunities and not see that included in some fashion.
Right.
Sure, they could show that on the final plan, and then we also, on our 151st Farrell project this year, we're adding some sidewalk on the south side of 151st between, doesn't quite go to the fire department, but to that subdivision next door. There's no
Olympic
current
Drive.
connection for sidewalk, but we're adding that this year. So then you have connections on both sides.
Okay. All right.
We love our connections.
I just want to thank staff. I had quite a few concerns about this, and I appreciate all your answers. And my one thing is petty, but I would like to see if it could possibly be done. I'm not a fan of coming from Creekside going into this subdivision with the dropping of the street 2 feet. I mean, 2 feet is 2 feet, whatever. I just don't like it. I would hope to see if you could keep the width of pavement on Hillside Drive at 28 to match Creekside, at least until you get down to Oak Meadow Drive, and then shrink everything else down to your 26. But I really don't want to see a obvious, and I know you can shrink it down over a length of 50 feet or whatever, and it might not look as bad, but I'm not a fan of it shrinking right there at the entrance from Creekside into your subdivision. So if at least keep the pavement width the same, like I said, until you get down to your intersection, I believe it'll look a little bit better. So that's my personal concern. And I said, thank you, staff, for answering all my other.
Let me say that back to you so I understand it. So when it comes out of Creekside,
Right
it's...
there, you can see how they narrow it down right there.
So it narrows fairly quickly, or can you, by the time it makes that bend, I mean, that's a pretty long stretch to be able to take up a foot on each side. That you would certainly not notice by the time you get around to the corner.
What's on the screen right now, you can see where the road is slightly angled, just below the red circle and just above the red circle. That's where the transition occurs. Now, we could expand that transition out 100 feet. It would become imperceptible.
Yeah, I think if you just, as you roll around that corner, then I think it would meet JR's feelings of like, you would just, no one even notice.
It would be helpful to have the curbs align when you get to the intersection so that you didn't pull up and then this curb on the other side of the intersection was 1 foot out. Because you need to do it just on one side of the road, because otherwise you have a straight curb that then all of a sudden kinks in around it. So, we can certainly work with the applicant to find a good point to be able to begin and end that transition point so that we can make it as imperceptible as possible.
Okay.
I apologize, I may have missed it. Are these homes going to be available with basements as an option? Are they slab?
No, they're all on basement.
They're all on basements, included in the price?
Yes.
So when you say 1,600 square foot ranch, does that include basement space?
No, so the basement's added, so it would be
It's unfinished.
26-ish.
Okay, all right. That's good. All right, anything else there, friends? Okay, I think, Mark kind of summed up, one of the concerns we all had about our history with Pulte. And I'm glad to hear that, the company has done a lot of things to address stuff that they've had in the past. But, we've told staff, if this moves forward, it's kind of right? And so, making sure that all the stuff that you guys talked about, all the things that you want to, sure for quality assurances is that, we'll be on it, right? So, but we appreciate the product. We appreciate you, working with staff so closely and things done. And so, okay, very good. Anything else there? We're good? So we'll put it on as, should we just put it on as an action? We're good with that? Okay, let's put it on as an action item.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it. All right. That's everything, right?
No, PW1.
Oh, sorry. There you go. I'm sorry. All right, PW1, proposal for the data acquisition upgrades for well 10 and 11. Brent, what do you got for us?
This evening, one item on the agenda, PW-1, this is for our SCADA upgrades, wells 10 and 11. We've done a lot of upgrades already over the last couple years to our SCADA, bringing everything internal. I think council recalls we had, over the last, I'll say 2, 3, 4 years, just nationwide, we've had some challenges with security. And one of the things that we did was instead of having an outward-facing system, we brought everything inward. We have our own server. We have everything housed here at the city, so we've eliminated as much of that ability for intrusion, cyber intrusion, as we possibly could. So this is kind of that final step. So this takes everything that we've done internally, everything that we've done at our home base, and closes it out at the well. So each of our well sites will have their own their own software that will be written up for each individual site. So this is our first step. We've got a couple more of these over the next couple years. We're budgeting $100,000 a year to do 2 wells. So you see this is a little under that. So this evening we'd be asking for council's consideration to move forward with concentric integration. This would be for SCADA upgrades to wells 10 and 11 in the amount not to exceed $82,500. And this is resolution number 22-074.
All right, questions, concerns, thoughts? Nope. All right, sounds exciting, Brent. Good for a consent? Consent? Yes, all right.
Thank you.
All right, so that's the end. All right. And if there's nothing else, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, man, everybody chimed in. Take your pick. Okay.
You pick.
I heard Larry's deep voice and then, Renee. So, there you go. All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you.